Hey guys, welcome to my channel. Listen, what I want you to get in the habit of doing is liking these episodes. And if you're not a subscriber, I need you to go ahead and subscribe now. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I've got something really special for you today. Over the past year, I've been getting questions from the community. Many of you are direct messaging me. For whatever reason, you're not comfortable putting those questions in the comment sections. So what I've done is I've gone through and I've picked out some really great questions that I'm going to be answering for you today. So get ready. All right, this first question is from Tracy P. And the reason I chose this question is because it gives me the opportunity to talk about two things that are really important for you to understand. Her question, Coach T, with inflation still sticky and rates high, how can I protect my savings without losing purchasing power? Well, what this question does is it gives me the opportunity to explain to you the difference between savings and investing. They're two totally different dollars. Savings dollars are typically going to be invested in assets that are getting simple interest. That means you're only getting paid on the principal, as compared to a compound interest investment where you're getting interest on the earnings as well as the principal. So in order to protect purchasing power, what you're going to need to do is invest those long-term assets in places that grow faster than inflation. That's not a CD, it's not a money market, it's not a savings account. Nobody ever got rich with money in a savings account. When you are building liquidity in your household, you need three levels: 0 to 5 years, short term; intermediate term, 5 to 10 years; long term, 10 plus years. So if you are trying to protect purchasing power, then you want to make sure that you don't have your long-term assets in short-term investing. Excuse me, I should have said, as long as you don't have your long-term investments in short-term vehicles, you will be absolutely fine in protecting your purchasing power. This next question comes from Ella M. How vulnerable is my retirement nest egg to market volatility, and how can I build more resilience? Well, I just finished explaining the three levels of liquidity: short, intermediate, and long term. Your 401k is actually long term, and that's where most people have their retirement nest egg. So the best thing that you can do to create resilience is, one, diversify. Make sure that the assets that are in your 401k or your nest egg, wherever that may be, make sure you don't have all your eggs in one basket. There's an old quote from Tom Sawyer that says that if you put all your eggs in one basket, you better watch that basket really close. So good diversification. Figure out what your options are and spread those assets out. Secondly, the strongest thing that you can do is buy. Buy when the market is down. That's what the wealthy do. When everybody else is getting out of the market, guess what? The wealthy's jumping in. They're buying stuff. Because what that does is you're able to buy a lot of assets really cheap, and then when the market comes back, you rebound much quicker. So a big key is you get in when everybody else is getting out of the market. Now, with this next set of questions, I'm going to change directions because we're in November and the holidays are coming up. So I wanted to answer some of your holiday questions. And my first one comes from Marvelyn S. And she asked, how do I keep the holidays special for my kids when everything seems to cost twice as much as last year? Well, first, I would say to parents that we probably should redefine special this year, because we like to look at special as, we want to give our kids everything we didn't have. We want to make sure they have the latest and greatest of this, 5 or 6 toys under the tree. But guess what? It's only special for so long. So let's do something different this year. Let's focus on experiences. Maybe create some new traditions for your children. Look at shelters in the area. Go to a shelter where there's families who may be in distress, where there are children. Give each of your children a little budget. Let them go into the dollar store, buy gifts, and maybe go to the shelter and give it out to children in need. Maybe create a family decorating night where you sit down and you create decorations for your tree, for your home. Um, think about making coupons. This is something that my husband and I used to do all the time, is make coupons for each other because we felt like we didn't really need things. So we would get creative with coupons and we would put them in cards, put them in our stockings. So think of things that you can do for your children that are events and experiences that they can not only have during Christmas time, but possibly even after Christmas that'll last year round. And I can promise you that the things that people remember aren't the things that you buy with money. It's the experiences that you create that are lasting in their minds. Because I know some of the things that are the most important to me are things that had nothing to do with money at Christmas time. So let's start some new traditions. Let's redefine special this year. All right, this next question from Shanti R. It made me smile. Should I dip into my emergency fund for holiday expenses, or is this a slippery slope? Well, the answer is no, no, no. It's not a slippery slope, it's an avalanche that could take you out. If you've learned nothing from me on this platform, it is that emergency reserve funds are for emergencies only. You never, ever, ever use emergency funds to take care of discretionary spending, which is AKA wants, right? So if you have to dip into emergency reserves to buy a Christmas gift for your child, you can't afford it. Your emergency reserves are the thing that stands between you and financial chaos. Don't risk it. So, no, never dip into your emergency reserve funds for discretionary spending. My next question comes from Myella A. And this is a tough one because it's an emotional question. Coach T, what's the right move when your kids ask for a Christmas gift that you can't afford? Do you tell them no or go into manageable debt? Why do I put manageable debt in quotes? Because it's just a code word for I can afford the payments. And many times, just because you can make the payments doesn't mean that you can afford it. So one of the things I want you to try with your kids the next time they ask for a gift that you can't afford, you don't have to say no. Try this talk track. Honey, I know that you really want this, but it's not in the budget for us right now. But I've got an idea. You've got two options. One, we can go out and find something special with a budget that I've already set, or we can see, you can figure out how much you're short, figure out a way to save up for that, and then maybe buy it later, maybe after Christmas when it's on sale or later in the year. What do you think? Notice how that talk track, you don't say no, but you're teaching at the same time. What are you teaching? Goal setting, because now they've got to come up with a plan. Two, you're helping them learn how to make good, healthy money decisions. And then three, you're teaching the value of money. So you can say no to your kids without actually saying no, but you know what? Sometimes no is good. There's lots of lessons that can be learned in simply telling your children no. So don't be afraid. This next question from Jillian O impacts a lot of us. How can I plan a stress-free, affordable Thanksgiving or Christmas where my budget's already stretched thin? Well, the first thing I would say to you, Jillian, is be creative and abandon the idea that you've got to do it all yourself. Have a family budgeting meeting and go over your plans with your family so everybody buys in. Two, I love the idea of a sinking fund. Maybe a little late for it this year because we're already in November, but a sinking fund allows you to start saving for the holidays in January. So maybe even start thinking about next year creating that sinking fund. So by October, November, you've already got your Christmas paid for. The other thing that you can do is focus on the experiences with your family. One of the things that people remember when they come to your home for Christmas and the holidays, they remember all the funny jokes, they remember the photos that they took, they remember looking at videos from last year. It's the time spent. So try to focus more, Jillian, this year on the experience and not so much with everything being perfect or having the perfect gift or buying everything that you thought you should be able to afford, because in 6 months after, people won't remember. They're going to remember the time that they had at your home. So let's focus on that. This next question from Victoria S. Victoria asks, if I'm still paying off last year's holiday debt, how do I make this one any different? Well, first of all, Victoria, I want you to know that you're not alone. I just recently read a survey from Bankrate that said that the large majority of the American population is still paying for Christmas debt from last year and are currently looking for credit cards to finance this year's Christmas. So I say this all the time in my circles. Nothing changes until something changes. So let me ask you, is the pain of carrying that credit card debt into next year greater than the pain of making a change and doing something different this year? If your answer is yes, then guess what? I can help you. The first thing I want you to do is I want you to sit down and list out all of the credit cards you have and their balances from last year. And I want you to come up with a plan to pay those credit cards off. The next step is I need for you to take the credit cards out of your wallet, unlink them to your phone. An old strategy is throw them in the freezer. That's just a deterrent to keep you from using them. Next, look at this is the holiday season. There's always a way to get a side hustle going through the holidays. So maybe get a side hustle so that you can make a little bit of extra money to start to pay off those credit cards. Look around your house. Is there unused clothing, old furniture, things that you can possibly sell to go towards paying off that credit card debt this year? And then lastly, make a decision right now that you're not going to use credit cards to finance Christmas this year. If you don't have it and you've got to use a credit card, you can't afford it. So let's do it different this year. Let's not use credit cards. Let's make a decision that we're going to go into 2026 with healthy money habits, and we're not taking any additional debt with us. This last question is probably my favorite. It's from Albert L. Coach, how do I set real spending limits for the holidays without feeling guilty or disappointing the people that I love? Well, first, Albert, make sure that you're not projecting your own disappointment. Because what I have found is that people who love you could care less about receiving gifts. They're more interested in your well-being and spending time with you. But to set real spending limits, the first thing you have to do is you have to determine your discretionary income. That's all the money that you have left after you've paid your bills. Now you have a budget. So you take that discretionary amount and you make a list and you assign a spending limit to each of the people that you want to purchase for. Now, what happens if you run out of money before you get to the end of the list? Then you have to be creative. There's lots of things you can do. I've mentioned it in one of my earlier answers. One of the easiest are coupons. I have found that people absolutely love them. Offering to wash their cars, bake a meal, walk their dogs, house sit, do something that they really need. People really appreciate it and they remember it. But you can come up with your own ideas. And then next, I would tell you to use cash this year. By using cash, it will get rid of the impulse buying and help you stick with whatever budget that you've set. And then lastly, I would say that if you are spending time with people who are upset or disappointed because you didn't buy a gift, you might want to rethink the people that you're spending time with. because those who love you are more concerned about you than what you can buy for them. I really had fun answering these questions, and I'm sure that you heard questions that really kind of touched you. This is why I want to urge you to send me your questions live so that I don't have to wait until the end of the year to answer all of these questions. So get in the habit of posting your questions as they come up. Now, for your wealth work. I'm sure that as I answered these questions, you heard the same thing that I did, and that was all about buying, gifting, and presents. I want to challenge you this Christmas. I want you to make a list of all the people that you love that you would normally buy for. And then make an agreement with yourself that you're going to stick with it. What this will do is it will make you more intentional and less impulsive in your gift giving and buying. Now, this is the hard part of the wealth work. I want you to share with the other wisdom seekers in our community what you're doing because we're all going through it. Everybody wants to hear creative ideas. So let us know. And my hope is that hearing our conversations will inspire you and your family to do the same this holiday season. And I'll see you soon.